Happy Pride Month in Delta June. Last year I swung at the hornet's nest by doing a transgender reading of Sunny from Mori, and this year I've been getting the itch to do queer analysis again. With chapters 3 and 4 having come out earlier this year, and everyone and their mom feverishly making videos about it, I realized that I'm not immune to trying to hop on a topic while it's still fresh in my mind, and also popular. Though what I want to talk about today is something that's been eating at me since completing chapter 2 a few years back. Hey, does anyone else think that Kris and Noelle's relationship in the Snowgrave/Weird route is, really damn strange? Big heavy spoilers for Deltarune chapters 3 and 4, of course. Also, since this is not my first rodeo doing queer analysis, I gotta give a little disclaimer. It's okay if you disagree with me or don't like my analysis. It's okay if you don't like what other people have to say about this topic. It's not okay to be an ass to anyone you disagree with. Play nice. This is just for fun, after all. Let's jump into it, shall we? In the normal route, there's not much of an issue with Kris and Noelle's friendship. It seems strange after Kris's parents' divorce, and in chapter 4, Noelle goes as far as to say that their friendship felt a little forced because they were in close proximity to each other frequently as kids. Kris gets invited to hang out with Noelle, they spend some time in the dark world, Noelle's happy if Kris calls her their friend, etc., etc. And while their relationship on the normal route is very interesting and compelling on its own, what I find particularly intriguing is how their relationship differs on the Snowgrave route. The direction their relationship gets pushed is not subtle in the slightest. It's meant to be romantic. You say, "we're something else," when presented with the choice between that and calling Kris and Noelle's dynamic what it really is: friends. Jewelry isn't uncommon in the dark world, and in fact, it can make you stronger. Look at the dice brace or the twin ribbons. But it definitely isn't the same as just equipping armor to increase your party's stats. And Noelle even acknowledges it as such. If you abort the Snowgrave run around this time, Noelle has dialogue about Susie buying her a ring, which shows how romantically charged it is in Noelle's eyes. That isn't the only time it'll be brought up either. Before I go further, you may be wondering, alright, Weird Cat, why are you so hung up about a couple of pixels forced to be romantic with each other? And how is this queer analysis? And to that I say two words: compulsive heterosexuality. For those who aren't sure what it is, there are many different definitions depending on who you ask, but for the sake of this essay, its definition is societal pressure for people to be and act heterosexual. Kris and Noelle are definitely queer teenagers who are pushed into traditionally heterosexual roles on this route. Allow me to elaborate. Kris is heavily implied to be non-binary. Other characters exclusively use they/them pronouns for Kris, and don't use gendered language when speaking about them. I mean, just look at the prophecy. Ralsei is called a prince, Susie is called the girl, and Kris is called the cage. It's also worth noting that in the normal route, Kris is pushed to be with two male characters romantically, Ralsei and Birdley. These two romantic options are played off rather comedically, but they're still there in the game regardless. But on the Snowgrave route, things are different. Kris isn't being pushed by many other characters in the game, but rather by you, the player. Sure, you can choose to hug Ralsei in the acid tunnel of love, or say you'll go with Birdley to the festival. They kind of pale in comparison to the lengths you have to go to show interest in Noelle. The Snowgrave route in Chapter 2 is absolutely littered with references to Western marriage traditions. For starters, when you mention that Kris is something else with Noelle, the shopkeeper offers you a ring, which I mentioned a bit earlier. This is very romantically charged to Noelle. If you succeed in pressuring her to steal it from the shopkeeper, she doesn't put it on. You put it on Noelle, which mirrors a marriage proposal. The woman in the relationship is traditionally the one who is presented with a ring, and if she accepts the ring, then the man in the relationship will put it on her. Well, Kris is not a man, of course. The role they are pushed into is one that a man would play when in a conventionally heterosexual relationship. Noelle, on the other hand, is undoubtedly pushed into the role a woman would play in this kind of relationship. To start, she's the one who wears the ring that Kris gives her. In fact, the two different rings further parallel marriage traditions. The freeze ring mirrors an engagement ring. It isn't supposed to be permanent, but something symbolic for the time being. I mean, if you look at the freeze ring, you don't have to equip it to further the Snowgrave route. It's not something permanent. It's never meant to be. And the ring is just that. Wedding rings are more permanent than engagement rings. The thorn ring comes with about 8 pounds of symbolism too. With it giving a significant magic and attack boost, it's hard not to see it being Noelle's sort of ultimate weapon that she's always going to use. In chapter 4, Kris puts a thorn into Noelle's finger, which makes her go back into the trance she was in when wearing the thorn ring in the Dark World, indicating a long-term use of the ring. Something she won't take off anymore, which seems a lot like a wedding ring. When wearing the thorn ring in the fight with Birdley, Noelle's health even drops down to 55 HP, which in Roman numerals is LV, love, level of violence. Holy. Noelle's outfit also seems to fit in with the theme of marriage, seeing as she wears a long white dress. Of course, they aren't actually getting married. It's not like Spamton is officiating their marriage. They're still just kids after all. But it feels especially eerie how closely pieces of things in the Snowgrave route feel reminiscent of a real-life marriage, made all the worse by neither party wanting to be in this dynamic. It's no secret that Noelle is infatuated with Susie. The chalk lunchbox, the Ferris wheel ride, comments about Susie buying her a ring, the festival, the time with her while Kris is off making fucking chocolate milk, the scene with them in Jess's room, the snack tray, you get the picture. Noelle really likes Susie, in the normal route, and in Snowgrave. She's still romantic with Susie, and hell, she even gets more bold about initiating conversation with her in the light world. She wants Susie. That has always been her first choice. A choice that gets taken away from her as she's forced to play into a more heteronormative role. When the player makes Kris say that Noelle and them are something else, Noelle questions what it means, and determines that it can't be anything good. She's shocked at the idea of Kris buying her a ring. She cowers away in fear when Kris tries to put the thorn ring back on her. When Kris eventually succeeds, she breaks. Her innocence completely shattered, and she's completely in the trance. And worse, it's not just you, the player, forcing her into this role. Noelle's mom even reinforces compulsive heterosexuality by telling Kris that Noelle is looking forward to going to the festival with not Susie, but them. And Kris, they remain frozen in place, unable to move. If you say that you want to take Noelle to the festival the previous day, they sound confused, which makes it seem like Kris doesn't really want to take her. But now they're being pushed into it. Kris gives the player many opportunities to stop the Snowgrave route, and even runs away from you if you aren't quick enough to put the soul back into Kris when Noelle has her eyes shut. They even go as far as to reassure Noelle that everything is okay, and everything that happened in her dream didn't mean anything. They undeniably care about Noelle, but it really does seem like how a friend would. Kris even beats the hell out of the soul after the scene with Noelle in chapter 4, which shows how absolutely livid they are for being put down this route and dragging Noelle with them. Even the knight taunts them in chapter 3 about how they enjoyed the events of the Snowgrave route despite their, quote, sour face. But that's besides the point. It's hard to tell exactly what Kris wants, but judging by their reactions to the things they don't like, it starts to shape a better image of Kris. Kris doesn't want this. Noelle doesn't want this. And yet you, the player, can make the choice to force them into the roles they don't wish to play, to create the perfect union between two queer teenagers who have been pushed to their limits. Only time will tell whether or not Kris and Noelle will miserably walk along the path you set for them and deny their true selves, or if they break free, whatever that will look like. And for their sake, I hope they start to walk their own path, away from the influence of the player or anyone who tries to force them back into the box of what they deem to be normal. I hope that you, the viewer watching this, are able to walk on your own path too, alongside the people who support you for who you really are. Happy Pride Month. Hi, thanks for watching. I had a video planned back in May, but then as Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 grew nearer for the release date, I found myself largely unmotivated to keep working on it. And then the chapters dropped, and I slowly but surely chipped away at it with someone close to me, and I only actually finished all the chapters released up to this point recently, which is why this video took a bit longer. I'll try to release the May video and something new in July, which I know is a quite ambitious goal, but I have actually been working at it before this, so it's not like I haven't been doing anything since, like, March. I'm gonna try my best. This video is actually out a week earlier on Patreon, and if you're feeling generous and want perks like getting downloads to all my video art, then maybe consider checking me a couple bucks over there. Even if you don't, watching this video is worth a whole lot. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like it, or maybe tell me your thoughts, theories, or anything else in the comments below. I always like hearing what people have to say. Or hey, you could also subscribe if you want to see more of my content. It is free after all. Alright, that's all from me for now. I'll see you sometime in the future. Bye!